नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्री श्री राधा वृंदावन चंद्र की जाय श्री श्री निताई गौरंग की जाय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जाय. So welcome everyone for the Sunday morning session of Science of Self-Realization series. So we are taking sessions trying to understand the spiritual subject matter based on this book known as The Science of Self-Realization, written by the founder of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada. So we have almost covered 2 chapters. Today is the last subsection of the second chapter about the spiritual master, the principles of spiritual master, and how to choose a spiritual master, who is a bona fide guru, and how to distinguish between a genuine guru and a so-called guru. We had a session in the previous week understanding about distinguishing between the saints and the swindlers. So in today's session, we will try to understand the absolute necessity of a guru in our life. So guru is not that we have an option or we have a choice whether we can have or no. Or guru can be kept as a fashion. No, it is an absolute necessity, and why it is so, and how to have a proper guru in our life is what we are going to have discussion in today's session. So let us directly get into the session now. So the title of this today's session is The Absolute Necessity of the Spiritual Master, from the book The Science of Self-Realization. So before we begin our session, let us have our, again, our pranams to Srila Prabhupada. He is our inspiration for this wonderful sessions what we are having. Srila Prabhupada is the founder Acharya of the worldwide Hare Krishna movement, also known as ISKCON. So we have been discussing in the last few sessions about the Guru, Acharya, the spiritual master, and we have understood one important principle in our learnings is that there is only one Acharya or bona fide Guru. In fact, the presentation which I am going to have now is based on the teachings of Prabhupada, who in 1936, exactly on the day of his spiritual master's appearance day. The appearance day of spiritual master, Guru, is known as Vyasa Puja. So Srila Prabhupada in 1936, February, Bombay, he happened to get an opportunity to glorify his own spiritual master. This is a system in the Vedic culture that on the birthday or the appearance day of one's guru, we have to glorify our spiritual master or guru. And this very personality, Srila Prabhupada, who happened to glorify his spiritual master 30 years before, he later became a world-renowned spiritual master. Right? We have understood becoming spiritual master is not that we can be self-proclaimed masters. No, it has to happen through an authorized system, authorized way, which we have understood in the previous sessions. So in this present session, we will be learning the time-honored meaning of the spiritual master, the disciple, and their relationship. So when we come to the point of understanding the Acharya or the spiritual master, we should always understand that the Acharya or the spiritual master is the principle. And the personality of Acharya, he is not sectarian, because we are talking of a very fundamental principle in spiritual life. When we say sun in the sky, it is not that in Uttar Pradesh, it is called Uttar Pradesh sun. Or when you go to Haryana, it's called Haryana sun. Or in South India, Tamil Nadu sun. No. Sun is universal, and if you call anybody distant, say 1,000 kilometers away, you will say, yes, no, it is such and such a time and sun is at this position. So the principles are what we are discussing now. Similarly, when you come to the point of Acharya or Guru, we are talking about something which is of universal relevance. There is no question of discriminating my Acharya with your Acharya, because Acharyas all speak the same message. So what we understand from the books of wisdom, scriptures, is that the Acharyas deliver the message from the absolute world, the transcendental world of the Supreme Lord. The world we are living is called material world, subject to destruction. Whereas there is an absolute world, spiritual world, the information of which is given in the Bhagavad Gita, wherein it is non-destructible, it is ever existing, it is eternal, right? Which is actually our existence. The Mahabharata says that these great personalities, the Acharyas, they are so exalted that the truth, the confidential truth about the absolute world, about the absolute Lord, is all hidden in the core of their hearts. So the Mahabharata recommends that we follow in their footsteps. Mahajano yena gatassa pantha. So if you carefully analyze all the books of wisdom, all the different scriptural understanding, we come to this proposition that this Mahajana or the great devotee or the Acharya is one, and the path charted out by these Mahajanas is all one understanding about the purpose of life. That is, we have to perfect our life and return back to the transcendental world. Right? So this is the introduction of today's session, that there is only one Acharya or bona fide Guru who appears in an infinity of forms, teach all of us. Different ways they're manifesting. Now, let us understand with regard to the transcendental knowledge, spiritual understanding. To know this knowledge or to deliberate on this knowledge is not easy now, presently. It's a big challenge. Because Acharya, or the great spiritual master, gives us this transcendental knowledge or spiritual knowledge. But right now, in a situation when you don't have a guide or a spiritual master or Acharya, getting into the knowledge of spiritual realm is a challenge. Why? Because when you say transcendental, transcendental means which is beyond the scope of our direct perception. And spiritual knowledge, actually the same understanding, beyond the source scope of our sense speculation. Right? We have some understanding of some things which we can directly perceive, which we can directly experience with our senses. There's a nice statement in one of the scriptures. It is mentioned, Atha Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyai. Knowledge about the absolute truth, knowledge about the absolute world, it is called inconceivable, achintya. So, take for example, we always see right now, our gross body. When somebody has passed away, we go on speculating in different ways. Oh, some life symptoms are suddenly, they have stopped, or the soul, something would have gone away. You've never seen the soul, but you go on speculating. Oh, maybe soul has passed, maybe soul has not passed. Maybe, according to the modern medical understanding, the red corpuscles in the blood, they have turned into white, because of which the life symptoms have stopped. So like this, the speculation goes on with regard to the various aspects of our life itself. So this being the case, just like, these are called atheistic speculations. There may be soul, there may not be soul, or the bodily functions are going on like this. So all these are all, there's no end to such speculations. Knowledge of transcendence is something beyond our limited understanding now. It is beyond the domain of our understanding right now. Right? Even though it is very much there, we cannot see. It's like in one of our previous sessions. Srila Prabhupada had communicated through a letter to one of the leading cardiologists, doctors in Canada, Toronto, how they were trying to find out where is the soul. Soul cannot be perceived with our gross senses. This we have to understand. And super soul, Paramatma, is even finer, who cannot be seen, understood by our gross senses. We have to take help of one more type of a process, which we are going to discuss nicely in today's session. And the present challenge before us is that every moment we are deceived by knowledge of our direct perception. Whatever we see actually is not fact. We take it to be a fact for ourselves, or we misunderstand something to be something else. This is called illusion, right? Now, illusion means we accept something which is not really truth to be truth. Maya. The first illusion, or the most common illusion all of us are experiencing, is that we are accepting this body as a self. I am this body. So this is called illusion. The Bhagavad Gita tells us that you are not the body, you are spirit soul. This is the beginning understanding of Bhagavad Gita, the basic understanding of spiritual knowledge. So when you mistake something else to be something else, then you are in illusion. Say, for example, a person enters the police station and he doesn't, he sees one police constable there, and the main officer maybe is not there right now. And if he misunderstands the police constable to be the whole and sole authority of the police station, then he is in illusion. So like that, if you analyze our life, we have so many mistaken identifications, wrong understandings about ourselves, the world around us. Actually, we are weaving a world of our own in our minds. Oh, I am a body. He is also a body. She is also a body. All of us are having bodies. And our life is like this. Our enjoyment is like this. This is what we have concocted or imagined. So a life of imagination we are living actually. So the understanding which is coming from an Acharya is going to bust the scam of illusions we're going through. Right? So it's a very important revelation which is made in the scriptures, that every moment we are cheated. The knowledge what we are experiencing as direct perception is not the actual understanding. Everything is actually, as I told you, a concoction, a creation of the mind, which is deceiving us and is ever changing and flickering. We believe, oh, the family I'm living now and we're enjoying the life. It's going to go on like this. But the factor of time will show us that it's not going to be forever like this, happy forever. Just like whenever, you see, read a novel or see a movie, happy ending. Oh, forever they lived happily. No, it is just, again, illusion. We as entities now, we are eternal entities, but we are engaged in a body. And this body is not going to last for long. The flickering happens. One more nice example given in the scriptures is that when you stand at the shore of the ocean, beach, a lot of waves keep coming, and the waves have so much of foam, and all that foam is all so momentary. As soon as the waves which come with such a big force, they subside, all that foamy aspect of the bubbles all vanish. Our life is like that. Our life situations are like that. Maybe it's looking like for a few years, a few months, but from the cosmic time scale, they are just like foam or bubbles, flickering. So basically, we should understand and acknowledge that our knowledge is very poor, our senses are imperfect, and the sources from which we are getting knowledge is all having limitation. Because the person who is giving this knowledge also is having limitation, or he has written a book on some theory, he is having limitation, his senses are limited. So this is the present challenge right now with regard to understanding something about transcendence. And one more big challenge we have right now is that the present situation we are living in. This is called the age of darkness, Kali Yuga, age of quarrel and hypocrisy. Right? As we know, the whole cosmic time is going in a cycle of 4 yugas: Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. So after this Kali Yuga, Satya Yuga will start again. So the cycle goes on. 4 cycles, 4 Yuga cycles. So right now we are presently in Kali Yuga, wherein already 5,000 years have passed. We have a balance of around 4,27,000 years to go. And why is this age called the age of darkness? Is it because everything is very dark? We cannot see anything? Actually, this age of darkness is taken from the spiritual perspective. Darkness is due to lack of clue to our spiritual advancement, which is actually the prime necessity of the human being. We are so ignorant. We are going on in the illusion, thinking that I am this body. There's nothing known as spirit soul. After I die, everything is finished. Such conceptions, which means complete ignorance, a sense of lack of understanding about the reality of life. This is the darkness, right? This is the darkness which all of us are mostly experiencing, and that is such a this darkness is all pervading our way of functioning, our lifestyle, our thinking, and all these things. If you ask anybody, why are you working so hard? He will tell, no, I'm happy, I'm having a family, I had a good job, I'm just earning some money, I'm happy. But what about your future life? What about your body, which is growing old, is going to die one day? No understanding. This is called darkness. Sometimes it is said, ignorance is bliss, but at what cost? Is the question. So we are, in fact, understanding that we have done a lot of advancement in technology, science, and that and this. Oh, we have almost conquered the whole world. And I'm just researching and developing concepts wherein I'm going to conquer death. I'm going to conquer old age. And we are taking pride in the art of killing. Maybe in the previous ages, our primitives used to throw big stones, boulders. They give example of in Ramayana how the monkey soldiers of Lord Rama, they were throwing stones, boulders, trees. Now we have missiles. Now we have very automatic weapons wherein you can just sit in one place and press a button and we have mass killing. We have nuclear weapons, right? And we have such deadly invention of different things. We have bioweapons. It's like this. We are taking pride in the art of killing right now. This is the present age. So not only killing ourselves grossly, killing ourselves subtly and spiritually. This is the understanding. So it is very abominable and rather a very vulnerable situation of all of us. So this being the situation, the only and only solution will be to completely surrender. Surrender meaning dedicate yourself, submit yourself, and offer your service to the Acharya to assimilate this transcendental knowledge. This is the recommendation which all the scriptures give us. Right? This is what even now, at least as a principle, students come to school, colleges, or seek knowledge from somebody who knows already this is happening. But when it comes to the domain of spiritual understanding, it is a very essential aspect. This is the absolute necessity of this. So this is further confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita like this. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshinaha. Which means, just approach the wise and bona fide spiritual master, surrender unto him first, and try to understand him by inquiries and service. Such a wise spiritual master will enlighten you with transcendental knowledge, for he has already seen the absolute truth. So, Lord Krishna is recommending we have to approach Tattva Darshinaha, realized souls or Acharyas, Mahajanas, spiritual masters who have realized the truth. Right? So this is a recommendation from Lord Krishna himself. And further, in one of the Upanishads it is mentioned, Tad Vijnanartham Sagurum Evabi Gachet Samit Panihi Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. So it is direction given by the Upanishad when it is said, in order to learn the transcendental science, one must approach the bona fide spiritual master in disciplic succession, who is fixed in the absolute truth. So very wonderful revelations from the scriptures, from the books of wisdom, that there is an absolute necessity to approach a spiritual master. This is the way Lord Krishna, the absolute truth, has designed this whole world for us. And if you say, oh, absolute truth, rather the spiritual master also is looking like you and me. He's also made of flesh, blood, bones. He's also talking like me, and he's also eating like me. So what is the difference? A very striking difference is being mentioned by Lord Krishna himself while he was instructing Uddhava, one of his confidential devotees. He said, Lord Krishna's statement it is, Acharyam mam vijaniyam nava manyeta karhichit na martya buddhya suyeta sarva devo mayo guruhu. It's a very wonderful statement, which means one should understand the spiritual master to be as good as I am. Acharyam mam vijaniyam nava manyeta karhichit. So Lord Krishna is telling to Uddhava that please understand that the spiritual master, Acharya, who is coming in the disciplic succession, parampara, is non-different from me. And we should never be na avamanyeta karhichit. We should never be jealous of such a spiritual master or think of him as an ordinary person. Na martya buddhya. Should not be asuyeta, not be envious. Never disrespect him. Why? Because such a spiritual master is Sarva Deva Mayo Guruhu. He is the sum total of all demigods. Let's see. This is the position of Acharya, spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master. And in our last sessions, we have understood very clearly who is a bona fide spiritual master. That is his position. Lord Krishna himself declaring the position of Acharya. So this being the case, Acharya's position being so exalted, so sublime. So we cannot consider Acharya to be like an ordinary person like you and me. Yes, he may appear like in human form, but his position is called transcendental. Transcendental meaning, we have understood transcendental meaning beyond the scope of our direct perception. Even Lord Krishna comes in this material world. He looks like you and me. What Lord Krishna mentions very clearly in the Bhagavad Gita, avajananti mamudha manushim tanumashitaha. Who considers me to be like an ordinary human being, then he is avajananti mamudha. He is an ignorant fool. So the subject matter of transcendence is something we have to take from the proper channel and try to assimilate the knowledge and appreciate the importance of what we are understanding. Okay. So basically, we have to understand that Acharya is not an ordinary person. He is descending from the spiritual world to deliver all of us, to save all of us, to take us back to spiritual world. Now we are all called conditioned souls, fallen conditioned souls. You can see this this nice image here, picture, where we can see the Acharyas are coming in a chain of disciplic succession. This is called parampara. Like Lord Krishna instructed to Brahma. So Brahma was the first disciple. Brahma instructed his son Narada Muni. So Narada became the disciple of Brahma. Brahma becomes the guru. Narada Muni instructs his disciple Vyasadeva. So like that, the chain of guru-disciple succession is coming all the way down to Srila Prabhupada. And this is Prabhupada, his guru, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Maharaj, his guru, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Like this, the chain goes all the way up to Krishna. So whatever Prabhupada is instructing is the same understanding coming in this chain. And whatever Prabhupada receives as honor and respect, Prabhupada passes it on, all the way it goes to Lord Krishna. So it is called transparent via medium. This is the principle in which Acharyas are functioning. So a very important question we should ask. Somebody is telling, I am an Acharya, I am a Guru. You should ask him which parampara you belong to, which sampradaya you belong to. Because every sampradaya or acharya or the succession, there are only 4 successions which I had mentioned last time. One of the successions they should belong to, either from Brahma or from Mother Lakshmi or Lord Shiva or the sons of Brahma known as the Kumaras. If anybody is claiming that I am an Acharya, he should prove with the credentials that I belong to this sampradaya. Succession is like this. He is not able to prove, then he is not a bona fide Acharya. He is just making a show. He is a self-proclaimed Acharya. That's the point. Okay. So we understand from the books of wisdom, scriptures, that Srila Vyasadeva, who is a disciple of Narada Muni, is the prime authority of Vedic revelation. In fact, Vyasadeva happened to be the incarnation of Lord Krishna himself, literary incarnation, the Sahitya incarnation, who gave us this all literatures, the scriptures in the written form, right? So anybody who says that I am also an Acharya and I would like to interpret the books of knowledge or scriptures in my own way, then we don't accept him as an Acharya. Even though he may have big scholarship, he may be able to explain all the scriptures very nicely, but because he is explaining the scriptures based on his own understanding, based on his own speculation, we don't accept him as an Acharya. Because an Acharya means he's going to present the knowledge as it is. There is no adulteration, there is no addition, there is no subtraction. The knowledge is just presented whatever way Lord Krishna wants us to present. That is the way Acharya functions. He never adulterates the knowledge, what he's getting. So anybody would like to simply interpret, this verse means this verse means that, so I become Guru. Then we cannot accept him as a Guru. Right? We should, first of all, verify his credentials, which sampradaya we belong to. It's a very easy way to identify any person who claims to be an Acharya or whom you want to accept him as a Guru or Acharya. Because as a disciple, you're supposed to verify the credentials of the Acharya to some level. Disciples' credentials also will be verified by the Acharya when he accepts him as a disciple. If such a process doesn't happen, and simply blindly, I accept one Guru, and Guru is accepting somebody, a disciple, it is a matter of, as we understood, cheaters and the cheated. You want a cheap Guru, and Krishna will send you your chief guru, and a chief guru also wants a chief disciple like you. This is the very clear, indication with regard to guru-disciple relationship. So, according to the Padma Purana, one of the scriptures is mentioned, Sampradaya Vihinaye Mantraste Nishphalamata. I told you there are 4 Sampradayas or 4 successions starting from Krishna. If an Acharya claims that I belong to this one of the Sampradayas, he has to prove his credentials. So unless you are initiated by a bona fide spiritual master in a particular Sampradaya, the mantra or the knowledge, whatever receiving, will have its effect. Otherwise, it will not have its effect. The mantra or whatever understanding you are receiving from the Acharya will have an effect when the Acharya is connected to the Sampradaya. It is like telling, unless the socket or the power point is, you can say it is live, when the whole socket is connected to the main power, which is received in your place from the power grid. If there is no connection to the power grid and the power is not flowing, then the socket will be useless. So so-called gurus or so-called acharyas who claim I am an acharya, they are like powerless sockets. They cannot give you knowledge. They simply meddle with some understanding of some books of wisdom and want to interpret them and present in a different way just to have some intellectual satisfaction, some mental satisfaction. That will nowhere lead you anywhere. Because an acharya's main purpose is what? We understood. He descends to deliver us, to liberate us. So the so-called sockets, powerless sockets, have no power to give us power, energy, current. So the so-called acharyas have no power to deliver us. That's the point. It is a very important aspect in choosing an acharya, that we have to have a proper, deliberated understanding of how to choose an acharya. There's one more statement from one Upanishad called Shvetashvatara Upanishad. It is said, Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha gurau tasyete katitahi artha prakashante mahatmanah. It is said that once you have implicit faith in both the Supreme Lord Krishna and the Acharya, the spiritual master, such great personalities or such practitioners or sadhakas, for them, the real import of the Vedic understanding is revealed. It's a very wonderful statement. The scriptures are giving us that if the knowledge of spiritual understanding has to dawn upon us, it has to be revealed. Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. So this spiritual knowledge is not that we can grab it or by my karma I can understand it. No. You may have sufficient material karma of having good education, of having high parentage, or having sufficient wealth. But these are not a qualifications to understand spiritual knowledge. The only and only qualification is to have strong and implicit faith in the bona fide acharya, bona fide guru, and following his instructions and serving him wholeheartedly. Then Guru will bestow mercy. Krishna will bestow mercy to know about the truth about Krishna and the spiritual subject matters. So this is the transcendental dynamics which works with regard to spiritual knowledge transfer. So now, this transcendental knowledge revealed by acharyas, as I told you, the knowledge of transcendence is something which has to be, which has to strike us within the heart. When Srila Prabhupada went to America, he was a bona fide acharya. When he was speaking, the knowledge, whatever little simple knowledge he was giving, you are not the body, your spirit, soul. It was striking, going directly into the a person's soul. It was awakening the soul. Right? So this knowledge, when it is uttered by the lips of the acharya and heard by a very submissive person, then the whole miracle happens. It is something inconceivable to our human understanding, how this miracle happens, but it happens. So the knowledge revealed by acharya, one of the knowledge, is all actually in the scriptures. Right? We'll just dwell upon some of the wonderful things. it is mentioned that the path of spiritual realization is sharp like a razor's edge. A very wonderful revelation made by the scriptures. Because when you take up spirituality, it is not that it's like a recreation or some time pass. This we have to be very clear. Because spiritual understanding is a very serious aspect in our life. Because as we just now discussed, we are going through so many disadvantages. We are in the darkness of Kali Yuga. Our knowledge is so poor. We have limitations with our own faculties in our body, senses. And over and above that, you are interested. There are so many people who can mislead you. So in that sense, the true understanding of our own existence, about the reality of ourselves, is not easy. Because we are going on with so many ignorant perceptions about our life. Therefore, the scriptures, Upanishad says, it gives an emphatic call to all of us. It says, Uttishta Jagrata, Prapya Varun Nibodata. Now that you have got a wonderful human life, wake up, arise. You got a wonderful boon of this human form of life. And use it properly. And when you take up the spiritual understanding, the path of spiritual realization is not that easy. Because when you take up spirituality, we have to follow many, many rules and regulations, strictly, seriously, with determination and sincerity is required. So it is a path of, great challenge in one sense. So the scriptures say, this kshurasya dhara nishitad duratyaya. Right? It's like a razor has a sharp edge. Likewise, the path of spiritual progress is like the razor's sharp edge. Because little inattention, razor when you are shaving, little inattention, it will cut your skin. Or the knife, little inattention, you're cutting some vegetables, it will cut your finger. Likewise, not following the disciplines of the path properly, it will lead you to a very disastrous situation. Right? In the name of spirituality, you cannot cheat. This is what the learned scholars in the transcendental subject matter recommend to us. So the path of spirituality, you have to understand, is not a thing that we can take it for easy or like a sort of a recreation. No, it is a path of complete seriousness and sincerity which is required from the practitioners. Then one more aspect which the Acharyas give us understanding is that we are not these material bodies. We are all spirit souls. We are permanent, indestructible entities. We are all servants of Lord Krishna. Mame vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna mentions, we're eternally fragmental part and parcel of Krishna. This is our identity. But right now we have forgotten about this identity. So this knowledge is revealed. So this knowledge strikes to a person who is accepted an Acharya, like Srila Prabhupada, and tries to follow the instructions. Because it may look like some statement which we have made now, right? But this goes deep in our consciousness, deep in our understanding, when there is the blessing of Acharya in our consciousness. So some more common understanding which is given in the scriptures is that our situation is like fish out of water, because we are spirit souls, we are supposed to be in spiritual world, but right now we have come to the material world and dabbling with different aspects of the material world. Right? So fish, whatever comforts you give, it cannot be happy materially, because its natural situation is to be in the water. Likewise, whatever material arrangements we do to keep ourselves happy, we cannot be happy. Truly speaking, spiritually we cannot be happy, because our true happiness is within, not external. So this wonderful revelation is given by the Acharyas. So one more thing we just now discussed, perfect happiness can be experienced when we restore to our natural state of spiritual existence. Right? So this is all possible when we hear from the Acharya, who is known as the authority in the transcendental knowledge. We have to hear how, not haphazardly. Oh, simply I have to hear as a sake of formality. No, we have to hear with full submission, patiently, and try to follow the instructions which is given by the Acharyas in our life. Then our journey back to spiritual world is confirmed. Because right now, our life is such that we're all going on in the bodily concept of life. The scriptures say, leading a life of bodily concept of life is no better than animals. What is bodily concept of life? Bodily concept of life means thinking that I am this body, nothing beyond the body. Body means, according to Ayurveda, we are made of three elements: kapha, pitta, vayu. Yeah. Bile, mucus, air. Oh, I'm a bag of this kapha, pitta, vayu. Or I am just, like I'm having these connections with my body, my family, my husband, my wife, my children, my relatives. This is what my life is. This understanding, this conception, is called bodily conception of life. In fact, all the animals are having the same conception of life. I am the body. And there's nothing beyond the body. So this is the conception of life. Then our spiritual understanding has not even awakened. But all this happen. All this knowledge is revealed by acharyas to us so mercifully that if we accept them in a nice way, it will, we'll progress in our spiritual life very, very fast. Right? So let us get into one more wonderful story. In this regard, Srila Prabhupada explains to us this the story of the bird in the cage. Once it so happened that one king, he was so attached to one of the pet birds he was, having. So he made a golden cage for the uh, bird, and he instructed his servants, please take care. He did not instruct clearly whether to take care of the cage or the bird. So naturally, the servants misunderstood that, oh, cage is more valuable than the bird because cage is made of gold, of course. So they started nicely polishing the cage so nicely, so well that it was shining bright because it's made of gold. But they neglected giving food to the bird, which is in the cage. So because of which, what happened? The bird gradually started becoming weaker and weaker. And it was crying so piteously that I want food, but nobody is caring. Because the king has only instructed, take care. So we're taking care of the cage. Servants were thinking. So it is exactly our situation right now, like a bird in the cage. If you compare the bird to the spirit soul and the cage to our body, we are all busy towards the upkeep of the cage. We get up, we get ready, bathing, and then we stand before the mirror, decorating ourselves, maybe for a few minutes or sometimes hours. So like this, we are busy towards upkeep of the cage. And something happens to the body, oh, we rush to the doctor, and all the needed help from the doctor is taken, and see that is taken care. Cage is taken care. But the soul, no care. Right? We are giving food to a gross body, eating every day, 3 times, 4 times, drinking water or some other liquid so many times. So much care is being given to the gross body. In fact, we also give food to our mind and intelligence by reading some literature or say hearing some nice songs, music, right, or dance. Right, we want to satisfy intellectually. What is it? Like people would like to go and see some scenic place. Why? It's going to give them mental satisfaction. So we're trying to give food to our gross body, our mind, our intelligence, but we are neglecting to give food to our soul. Hardly we think about the soul. Soul is actually starving. The starvation is coming out in the form of depression, anxiety, right? Sort of a insecurity, so many aspects. So, but we hardly worry about or care about the soul. Soul is starving and crying. In one sense, we are all committing spiritual suicide. So, like this, one cage, the body, the soul is entangled, and you have a body, and then you again finish this. This body's the term of this body is over. You get one more cage. Like this, there are 84 lakh cages or prisons. We are imprisoned like this, life after life, going on in cycle of birth and death. Human form of life, we can understand all these things. In other life forms, this understanding cannot dawn upon us. It's a wonderful opportunity, as we understood just now, that human life is meant for the purpose to realize this aspect. Understand this aspect. That's why the books of wisdom, Acharyas explain to us the best use we can make of our this body actually is a bad bargain. Make best use of the bad bargain, they say. What is the best use of the bad bargain? To understand the importance of human life, to understand that human life is actually meant for reviving our true consciousness, develop our understanding towards spiritual goal, spiritual perfection. That is the purpose of human life, right? So for this, the Acharyas give us the proper directions how to move forward. Now, very nicely, one of the scriptures, Srimad Bhagavad states, how important is this human form of life? Labdhva sudurlabham idam bahu sambhavante manushya marthadam anityam apiha dhiraha turnam yateta na pathed anumrityu yavan nishreyasaya vishaya kalu sarvatasya. So all this, see this Sanskrit, I and you cannot understand this, but this is explained by Acharyas to us, given understanding to us with Acharyas. If they don't explain to us properly, we can never know. So they say, this verse is telling from the Bhagavata, that after many, many births, you get this rare opportunity of human form of life. And this human form of life, Manushyam, Manushya life is arthadam, even though it is temporary, it is meaningful. Right? It has a lot of purpose. Even though it is anitya, it is arthada. So don't waste this human form of life, become sober, dhira, is being mentioned here. And as long as you're alive, use the human form of life for the highest perfection. Turnam yateta na pathed anumrityam, because when death is going to come, we don't know. Suddenly death comes. Always death is sudden. Because this Bhagavatam says that if you don't realize this aspect that death is going to come all of a sudden, anytime it can come upon, use the human form of life for the right purpose. And you should never think that, oh, I have a lot of life, I can enjoy gratification. No. Because gratification is available in every form of life. From ant to elephant, everybody is enjoying life. So you think, oh, this is how life is. Then you are mistaken. You're in a gross ignorance. Right? So in that way, in that context, very nicely Srila Prabhupada explains that man is known as the rational animal. Rational animal, we always hear the statement, man is a rational animal, which means there is a rational portion in us as a human being, which is supposed to make us understand, get into the thought process of understanding the transcendental knowledge received from the Acharyas about who we are, why are we in this world, who is God, what is the relationship with Him. This is the purpose of our rational portion of our life. But if you don't develop our rational portion, develop only animal portion. Animal portion means ahara, nidra, bhaya, maithun. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Then we only remain as polished animals who are we subjected to repeated birth and death. This is the conclusion of the Acharyas who give us this wonderful revelation of understanding from scriptures. So I'm almost coming towards the end of the session. I'll take a few more extra minutes. Acharya, or a bona fide spiritual master, is that person who is an eye opener, because he kindles that small fire of understanding, spiritual understanding in us. Because our whole existence right now is ajnana. Ajnana timirandhasya, it is complete dense darkness. Our understanding is complete ignorance. So he dissipates the invincible darkness of empirical knowledge. Acharya is the eternal father. His father is that person who is going to care for us, our spiritual care. And he will try to see that we are properly placed in our spiritual existence. And he was eternal preceptor. Right? He's going to give us the understanding from the scriptures, so nicely explaining to us. And he's constantly, is going to be a guide to us, eternal guide. This is the position of Acharya. Life after life is going to guide us. In case this life, for some reason, you're unable to complete your journey, next life, wherever you have stopped, Acharya will guide us further. This is how the principle of Acharya is going to function. And actually, Acharya bestows upon us the blessings of the full-fledged freedom. Right now, we are restricted in so many ways. Our body, our thinking, everything is restricted because of our conditioning. Whereas we have a complete eternal life of complete freedom. Service to Lord Krishna is called devotional service. It is completely wonderful experience of freedom. This is what is awaiting all of us if we take shelter of an Acharya. Excuse me. So what would have happened if if the Acharya would not have appeared or descended, or he is amidst us who is giving us so much wonderful understanding? If he had not come, what would have happened? We would have remained for lives and ages in the darkness of helpless captivity. Right? Like this, cycle after cycle, go on, birth after birth. Because of Acharya's appearance, Acharya has come, he's giving us knowledge, he's proclaiming, he's established organization, and that's the reason they're able to take advantage of this. Right? And you would never be able to understand the eternal truth, the teachings as given by Lord Krishna, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This would all be hidden. The knowledge would have been hidden forever. So mercifully, Srila Prabhupada gave us these teachings in English language, which all of us can understand and appreciate and follow in our lives. Right? And we could have never known who is Krishna. It's a very important point we have to understand, because all of us are maybe born in Hindu families, but most of us will know about Krishna something, but not to the extent the way Srila Prabhupada explains to us. Right? We have so many conceptions, especially people comment, oh, Hindu religion means multi-demigod religion, multi-god religion. We have so many gods. We have mall of gods. Go to anybody's puja room, in anybody's house. Oh, so many photos are there, so many murtis are there. So people think, oh, it's big confusion here. No, very clearly the Bhagavad Gita, the scriptures, Acharya explain as Krishna is the supreme personality of God. Ishvara Paramaha Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha. This revelation is made by the Acharya. Whereas ordinarily, those so-called gurus or so-called spiritual masters, they don't give this knowledge. They say, oh, anything you do, whatever you do, yatomat tatopat, whatever you want to do, you'll get some benefit. That is wrong understanding. So all of us should become an aspiring disciples of the Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, and we should pray sincerely that that shelter of Prabhupada, taking his surrendering to him, accepting him as Acharya, will make me definitely deliver from this world. This confidence we'll have, because he's a bona fide Acharya, right? And secondly, Prabhupada, we can always pray that please bless me, that I can always remember Krishna. Because right now my situation is I'm forgetful of Krishna. Right? As an aspiring disciple, we can pray like this to the Acharya Srila Prabhupada. And always, as a very sincere and a good disciple, we should always endeavor, see that we are ready to suffer for all the misdoings which I am destined. Never pray in a way that, oh, please take away all sufferings. No. As a very gentleman disciple, you want to endeavor, or you want to go through all the misdoings, what you have done, because Acharyas are very merciful. They will minimize the suffering which we're going through. Nevertheless, you should be, you should voluntarily agree, yes, Lord Krishna, Prabhupada, please give me the sufferings which I'm due, which I'm destined. So I'm taking this opportunity to inform all of you that we are celebrating 125th appearance day of Srila Prabhupada, Vyasa Puja, in the next month, 31st August. This is a day after Janmashtami. So Prabhupada's appearance day or Vyasa Puja falls on the day immediately after Janmashtami. And as a mark of respect and honor to the Acharya, we have been benefiting so much from Prabhupada's teachings. So I request all of you to write few sentences of your experience, your appreciation towards the Acharya. And Srila Prabhupada is glorified through you. You will be benefited. And Srila Prabhupada will accept that offering and he will pass it on to Lord Krishna. You will be eternally benefited with devotional service. So I request all of you to make a small write-up, one paragraph, homage, and you can submit the offerings to the contact number given here, and it will really benefit you. This is going to begin your spiritual life wonderfully, because appreciation of a pure devotee is nothing less important from the universal perspective. The Lord Krishna recognizes every action done to appreciate a pure devotee and Acharya. Right? So this brings us to the conclusion of this session, and I'll open the forum for any questions and any discussions. Hare Krishna.
Namaskar. Hare Krishna.
Yes, please.
Can I?
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Reverend Swamiji.
Yeah.
Going down to Srila Swami. It was an interesting talk, and to be brief and directly to my question, not a question, but something that comes to my mind is that you spoke of one guru.
Yes.
And as against, not against that, but we have in our tradition Guru Dattatreya, who was an avatar and son of Atri and Ansuya, with 24 gurus, and these gurus were gurus around him. So how do we probably think of this or understand this? Thank you.
Right. A very good question, what you have asked. In fact, the Srimad Bhagavat explains this particular aspect about Lord Dattatreya, who is actually the incarnation of Lord Krishna, Vishnu, in one of the ages. And Dattatreya, Lord Dattatreya, in fact, instructed many great personalities like Prahalad and many other exalted personalities. And the teachings of Bhagavat says that Acharya, who is known as Diksha Guru, who is going to deliver you. There will be many Siksha Gurus. Shiksha Guru means instructing masters. It's like I can be called as Shiksha Guru. I'm instructing all of you. But I cannot deliver you. I can help you to understand the spiritual subject matter to some level so that you can become more and more dedicated to that one Acharya. So there are many Shiksha Gurus, and there is one more concept known as Vartma Pradarshaka Guru. Vartma Pradarshaka Guru is that Guru. Guru basically means an instructor in this case. But whereas the Acharya's position is something very unique, we have to understand that. There is only one Acharya. There will be so many other Gurus. As I told you, the Shiksha Gurus. In the life of one Acharya by name, Bilomangal Thakur, an exalted personality, he had a Guru who was a prostitute by name Chintamani. Because she opened the eyes of this person, Bilomangal Thakur, in his previous household life. He was attached to this prostitute, and she once said, "You are attached to me so much. Why don't your attachment become like this for Lord Krishna?" This awakened his understanding. So she was to one level a Siksha Guru. So like this, Siksha Gurus can be many. Even a person whom you don't even know, he can be an instrument from Lord Krishna to give you some understanding at one point of time. Possible. So, as spiritual knowledge seekers, as sadhakas, means practitioners of spiritual life, we are always alert to see what best understanding we can get and take it forward. Chanakya Pandita says, if you are able to see a very valuable item, even in the garbage, please pick up. Because just because it is in the garbage, the value of that valuable item doesn't come down. And if you see that somebody is able to give you wonderful understanding with regard to your spiritual progress, even though from the material point of view, that person may not have a good family background, doesn't matter. Please take the knowledge. So this is the level of instruction which the great acharyas and great spiritualists give us. So the understanding what I was trying to make today is about that absolute guru, acharya principle, who is coming down in the disciplic succession to give us that wonderful transcendental realization and deliver us, provided we want to accept that shelter. We don't want to accept that, then we'll continue our cycle of birth and death. And this Acharya has so many of his disciples, and each of them can act as guru to some level, as Siksha Guru or Vartma Padarshaka Guru. Vartma Padarshaka Guru means that person who has introduced you to spirituality. You can say Dr. Rana is Vartma Padarshaka Guru for all of you. He has introduced you for this session. Whoever introduces me to spiritual understanding is one level of a guru. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Amara Agya Guru hai atara ye desha. Krishna Upadesha. Bolte hai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, on my order you become guru. What type of guru? Yare deka tare kaha Krishna Upadesha. That's what we are doing. Now I also suggest you become gurus. Gurus of spiritual understanding, to disseminate this knowledge to one and all, to your family members, to your students, to your people whom you can influence. You become one level of guru. Because unless and until you take the position of one level of guru, not the acharya. Acharya is worshipable. He is in the transcendental position. We are all his servants. We are acting as servants of acharya. On his order, as representatives, we are carrying out the orders. Because the Acharya tells us, Acharya's instruction is, you go and speak or you go and give this message to others about the knowledge about that you are the spirit soul, you are not the body, you're eternal. Right? In fact, Prabhupada said, even a small child can be a guru if he has strong faith that Krishna is Supreme Lord. The child of 4 or 5 years goes and speaks to some people. Krishna is Supreme Lord. The child also is a guru. One level of guru. So we have to understand that knowledge, real knowledge, absolute knowledge can come from different sources. Different personalities can be instruments for us to give some understanding to us. We should be always alert and our mind should be open. And we know distinctions clearly, very clearly. We don't equate everybody as same. There is some spiritual gradation, spiritual discrimination, which we have to understand. But the modern education, the modern way of thinking is that everybody is seen as same. That is wrong. It's like the communistic idea of all are same. All, how can they be same? Everybody has their own abilities. Everybody has their own different natures. None of us can never be same. So it is a wrong understanding. This, actually, when we ask some questions, we are all loaded with a lot of our conditioning and wrong understandings which we carry. That is the reason why Prabhupada told us, patiently speak to people. Tell them about the reality of life, reality of the existence. Because all are going through misconceptions, misunderstandings. Right? See, Prabhupada has established the organization so well that each of us are getting trained every day. And our duty is to that morning from 4 o'clock up to 9 o'clock, we have our personal training. And after 9 o'clock, we are supposed to go out and share this knowledge to all of you. Because our whole and sole purpose is what? How to benefit everybody. This is the mission of our Acharya. And this is what Krishna wants. So our Acharya is carrying on the mission of Lord Krishna. And we as sincere followers of our Acharya, we would like to give this understanding to everybody and anybody. I may not have realized that this is mobile, right? But because my Acharya told this is mobile, I simply repeat. That has a lot of power. So likewise, right now, I may not be fully realized. Doesn't matter. But I'm repeating whatever Acharya has spoken to me. Whatever I heard from Acharya. That's how I become one level of a guru. I hope I have clarified. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Ji Swamiji.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Rana ji, आपका कुछ question है?
So, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Just a small thought which was coming in mind. What are the factors which should be taken into consideration, especially while mentoring our students, as to how they should be choosing their spiritual master?
Okay. Okay.
So,
very good question.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
First and foremost, we should see everybody around us as Lord Krishna wants us to see them. Lord Krishna, how he is seeing all of us, or rather me, or people around me, is revealed by the Acharya, Prabhupada. Okay. So we have to go through the teachings what Acharya is giving, because we are now seeing other person from our own conditioned vision. I see a person having a woman's body. Oh, I see that woman as an object of enjoyment for me. Or vice versa, a woman sees a living entity with a man's body, object of enjoyment. But we have to understand, all of us have taken a dress. Today I may have a man's body, next life I may have a woman's body. So one thing we have to really clearly see is that all of us are, as I gave the story of the bird in the cage, all of us are imprisoned right now in the cage of different types of bodies we have got. And the body we have got is what? It is all because of our own desires, our own karmas we are experiencing. So we have to see ourselves and people around us as different entities encaged in different bodies for different terms of imprisonment. So you as an individual may be in a position of influencing your subordinates, maybe your children, your friends, your students. So you have understood some aspects of spiritual knowledge, wherein you realized, oh, this is what I'm supposed to see, and I want to share this knowledge to one and all. So first and foremost, you have to always acknowledge where from I got this knowledge. The sense of gratitude is very important, because nothing comes automatically. Because you were sincere, and Lord Krishna arranged that from because of your sincerity, a bona fide Acharya instructions you have heard to some level, it has awakened your understanding to some level. So in the same spirit, you're supposed to give this understanding to your subordinates. I'm so grateful. I'm completely, thankful. Acknowledge that understanding what I've got from this personality. Is Acharya. So similarly, I would like to, you also read this small understanding of about the life, about who am I, what is this world around us. Now, it is important to know all these things. Why don't you read this small booklet? So the mood is of help and compassion. In fact, when you have this genuine concern for the other person, that I would really like to help you, because all of us are in ignorance, and we are not even aware that we are struggling, we are suffering, we are completely in a vulnerable situation, as we discussed in this today's session. So if you can communicate this and really impress upon them, it's a very serious matter, because all this you are doing for only and only reason of having compassion on others. Just like Acharya's compassion on us, we have received such a wonderful revelation of understandings, knowledge, that at least we are awakened to some level. So we have to share the same compassion. May not be to that extent, but at least whatever extent we can. Lord is so compassionate. Even though He has created us and He has given all the facilities, and we don't even acknowledge Him, but Lord is so compassionate that He's just allowing that. Yes, you want this, please take. We're not even telling thank you. But Lord is so compassionate. Look at the unlimited, incomparable compassion of Lord Krishna. And his pure devotees, Acharyas, are more compassionate than Lord. At least Lord says, don't go to those people who are not listening about Lord Krishna. Krishna's instruction in Gita. Na abhaktaya, na atapaskaya. He says, don't go to people who are not austere, who are not devotees, don't go and preach to them. But devotees are so compassionate, they don't even care. Doesn't matter. Even if the other person gives me, he insults me, he calls me bad names, doesn't matter. He hurts me or he kills me, doesn't matter. Lord Jesus Christ, what was his fault? His only fault was he was trying to make everybody devotees of God. He wanted to bring in that devotional aspect in everybody's life, for which he was crucified. So we can see the mood of complete kindness and compassion in such great personalities. We also should, express that in our actions, in our words, in our dealings with our students. And that will definitely motivate the students to see. So such a wonderful transformation has happened in the person whom I'm receiving instructions, where from he has got this understanding. Who has given this understanding? Then that impresses upon them. And then when they know the source is this person, well, let me surrender. Let me also try to, dedicate myself. Let me choose this person as my spiritual master. Right? This is how we can. So it is basically the person should genuinely feel for it when you're doing this service. Then that feeling will communicate to the other person's heart, and he will see such a nicely is behaving. Then the person who has trained him, how wonderful he must be. That is the meaning. That is the way. I hope I've answered your question. Thank you. So any other question, any other discussion? And I request Dr. Ranaji to please, motivate all your faculty to see that they give at least 2-3 statements of their realizations, their understandings, because they've been hearing the sessions so far.
Sure.
And all this is coming from our Acharya Srila Prabhupada's instructions. Right? So we should be so much acknowledging him.
Yes.
And thanking Prabhupada. And little thanks is recognized by Krishna, for sure. And your spiritual path has, you'll go very swiftly in our spiritual journey of life. So I request that you take up the lead and motivate your people and all of the other participants also. I request to you also appreciate, because we go on appreciating film stars, politicians, and so many people. Why don't we appreciate a pure devotee, which will give you eternal benefit?
Sure.
So all of you just write few statements, 2-3 statements, a small paragraph about how you have benefited with these teachings of Prabhupada, and how going forward, what would you like to do, and how would you like to associate with the organization. Okay, so with this, I conclude the session now, and then we'll meet again next Sunday.